how much trouble are we really in?
Well, I mean, clearly it's a very serious issue we're facing. I mean, we saw the Chinese PMI numbers come out this morning and they were atrocious. I think they're pretty much the worst on record. So clearly the economic impact has been severe. But the uncertainty arises from really understanding or knowing just how severe things are going to get, how long it takes before we actually hit the bottom in terms of economic activity, and then from there, how long is it actually going to take for us to get back to where we were pre-coronavirus impact. I mean, if you look at where we are with regards to the stock market and the sell-off that we've seen, I have no doubt that in the future we are going to see these levels as being, huge buying opportunities. But the uncertainty over how much further we're going to fall before we actually hit the bottom and then how long it actually takes to recover is going to create a great deal of uncertainty.
How much faith do you put in the Fed's ability to right the ship here?
Look, I think it's not so much about the Fed. I mean, the Fed will do what they can, but at the end of the day, central bank policy is close to its limit anyway. I think that was a realization that we had even before the coronavirus impact came into place. And one of the things we've been talking a lot about was how fiscal policy will have to come in stronger form at some point in the future to really step in where monetary policy is now less effective. And that, I think, is all the more important now. So with regards to the Fed, I think they can do what they can with regards to providing liquidity, because there is definitely going to be some kind of liquidity crunch or pockets of illiquidity that arise. And I think over the next 6 months, a lot of research headlines and news headlines are going to say cash is king, because that is going to be a key focus. But we can't rely on the Fed to be the be-all in this situation. It has to be government-led.
Fahd, when you look at the situation across our region here in the Middle East, obviously we've seen Middle Eastern equity markets underperforming global peers over the past 6 months or so. But how do you expect this region to respond in particular? With oil prices at around $50 a barrel, it doesn't seem like there's much scope on the fiscal side to respond. And at the same time, monetary policy also appears to be mostly tapped out across the region as well. Is that a concern?
No, I think on the fiscal side there is space by simply taking on more debt. I mean, I know the path the governments were on previously was to try and bring the fiscal deficits and the debt levels under control, which was definitely, it was very much underway. But I think that'll have to take a back seat to more near-term requirements, which is really to pump liquidity and stimulus into the economy. So I would expect to see government spending remain robust. I would expect to see the governments tap debt markets in order to provide that plug.
How tough is this going to make things for countries that were already in deep economic distress? Talking about Iran, talking about Lebanon. Even frankly, I mean, we've seen Egypt make such a comeback given their collaboration with the IMF, but at the same point, this can't be good for them as well.
No, you're absolutely right. And it is frustrating, actually, to look at that kind of situation where you see that they were very much on the path towards a steady recovery. But this is life at the end of the day. I mean, these sort of things can't be predicted. They can't be planned for. But what can be done is to try and do your best to work around it. I mean, one of the things we've highlighted is that within the Middle East, Egypt and UAE, Dubai especially, are particularly at risk because of the importance of tourism in the economy. And there's not really much you can do about that other than ride through this temporary phase of downtime. The key question is going to be the effect, the policies the government can put into place to encourage tourism to recover as fast as possible once we're past the worst of it. But at this stage, it's all about managing what you can in the face of this downturn.